Welcome to part 2 of 360 Degrees with John Merrill. This is our 360 News. We're in a strange time right now. This is somewhat unprecedented within modern America, I'll say that. What steps are you guys taking to ensure that people are going to be able to vote during this pandemic,
That's
if
a
it
great
extends
question.
to them?
You know, we want people to go to the polls and vote if they want to vote at their regular polling place. All 1,980 polling sites in Alabama will be open on July 14th for our runoff election that we're about to have, and then again on November the 3rd, 2020. But if someone feels more comfortable in voting absentee, then they should be able to do so. And of course, I told you how we could do that by downloading the absentee ballot application at alabamavotes.gov or contacting your local circuit clerk, and they will mail you an absentee ballot application so you can make application, successfully complete that, and get your ballot delivered to your home or wherever you want it mailed. But for the people that are going to the polls, this is what your viewers need to know. First and foremost, all polling officials, the ones that work the lines, the inspectors, everybody that's there will receive a mask, and everybody will receive non-latex gloves. We'll have disinfectant wipes. We'll have sanitizing spray available to use throughout the day. For all the voters that come in, we'll have hand sanitizer that they can use to make sure that they're comfortable as they're picking up pens or pencils that may have been used by other people, receiving the ballot from those that are working. And then at the end of the day, when everything is done, we will actually go back into all of those polling sites throughout the state and do a complete disinfecting where they will be renewed and they will be left in their pre-election condition. And look, all of that's being paid for by the CARES money that was passed by Congress. So no local government, municipal government, the state government are having to pay for that. The federal government's absorbing 100% of that cost.
Got you. Just to follow up to that one, are there any social distancing guidelines that can be put in place?
We're hoping that they'll be adhered to at the polling sites. Those will be established by the local probate judges in all 67 counties. We want them to follow CDC guidelines. We want them to follow the directives that have been issued by Dr. Scott Harris, our state health officer, because everybody needs to make sure they're doing what has been suggested to ensure that the coronavirus is not spread at the polls or anywhere else.
Okay. What do you see as some of the benefits of absentee voting? We're going to circle back to that.
Sure.
What are some of the benefits there of absentee voting?
Well, it's convenient for the voter, first and foremost, because the ballot will be mailed to your home. For example, me, as an individual to be considered, I made application for my absentee ballot back in February. I voted absentee in person for the election on March the 3rd, and then since I had checked that I would like to have my ballot mailed to me through the absentee process for the runoff, March 31st is when it was originally scheduled, and then again November the 3rd, I got my ballot sometime around the 3rd week of March, so I voted more than 2 months ago on the July 14th runoff, and then they'll mail me my ballot in late September or early October in 2020. When I'm not on the ballot, I always prefer to vote absentee because I don't know where I might be on election day. And a lot of voters don't know where they'll be on election day. So if they want to make it easier to participate, they can go ahead and ask to vote absentee. And one of the things that happened that we're really happy it worked out this way is when the coronavirus came on us and the absentee process had already begun, we decided to go ahead and to extend the application process instead of it being the normal 45, 42 days before the election to make it well more than 110 days before the election. So every week since March the 17th, when we changed the date, we have sent out a press release, we've sent out email notifications, I've been on the radio, on TV, talking about the deadlines to encourage people to vote absentee if they want to. And now we have a little bit over 30 days left for people to still make their application, which is due on July the 9th. and it has to be returned no later than July 13th, either in person or through the mail.
Gotcha. Now, what are some of the drawbacks to absentee voting?
Well, I think one of the drawbacks is that people don't get to fellowship with their family and friends at the polls. They don't get to see people and visit, and that's something that they tend to enjoy doing. Another thing that some people see as a drawback is that they don't believe that it's as secure as voting in person on election day. However, with the safeguards that we put in place, we believe that it is very secure and that we practically eliminated the possibility for voting fraud through the mail, through the absentee process that we currently enjoy in the state of Alabama. Now, voter integrity and security is very important to us. We've had 6 convictions on voter fraud. We've had 2 elections overturned, and we've had 1 elected official removed from office since I've been the secretary, because we're going to investigate any incident of voter fraud or alleged incident of voter fraud that's been reported to us. If there's enough evidence to indict someone, we're going to make sure they are indicted and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And if a conviction results, we're all about that. But that's where we are in the process, and we feel confident that we're enabling our voters to participate in as secure an environment as possible to give them through the absentee process today.
Excellent. So if the loosened restrictions on absentee voting, voting by mail, leads to increased voter turnout, would you consider making it permanent?
Well, let's say this about in direct voting by mail, as opposed to what we do with absentee voting by mail. There's a difference, because one of the things that happens with a direct vote by mail contact is that every registered voter in the state gets a ballot, whether they are an active voter or an inactive voter. And you don't know if it's as secure as what we're currently doing. Now, you asked me if we would consider changing the law. I'm in the executive branch. I was in the legislative branch, passed 13 bills when I was a member of the legislature that became law. So any legislation that's introduced by a member of the House or a member of the Senate deserves full consideration by those chambers. And then if it advances, then it will matriculate all the way up to the governor's office. So I think anytime election laws are considered, they need to be debated, discussed, and determined what should happen. But what we have discovered since we've been here is that members, whenever that type of legislation is introduced, they'll come to us, they'll ask us our opinions. And sometimes we even promote legislation, as I mentioned to you before on the absentee ballot issue, and we encourage the members to move legislation for us. But it's going to be difficult to try to improve on what we've already done, because I mentioned to you about the success we've experienced with voter registration and in voter participation. You're not going to find another state in the union in the period of time that I've been the Secretary of State that has broken every record for voter participation every election that they've held since that person's been in office, except one. Roll Tide.
So with that being said, this is your second and final term as
Yes,
Secretary
sir.
of State. 2022 is right around the corner.
Yes, sir.
You seem like you're just getting started. What's next?
Well, I don't know. You know, there are a lot of people that have encouraged me to look at other offices and say that they would like me to run for different positions at the executive branch and other legislative branches at the federal level. I don't know what we'll end up doing. What we want to do is to be in a position where we can serve the people of Alabama in an effective and an efficient manner and make the greatest impact for the people that live in our state. And I believe that that will be introduced and revealed to us as we continue to move forward to a time of declaration, sometime toward the end of this year, sometime around the first quarter of 2021. But we want to be in a position to make a positive difference for our people. That's what we want to do, and we believe that they'll tell us whether or not they want us to serve them in another role or not.
Sounds good. Is there anything else that you want to tell our audience here?
No, but I'm excited about having the privilege to visit with you today. I thank you for what you're doing and trying to educate the communities all across Alabama and the South and the nation about things that are going on in Alabama. We're proud of what we're doing here, and we want everybody to know.
Thank you so much, Secretary Merrill, for your time. I genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
And that's going to do it for us here at 360 News. Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of 360 Degrees with John Merrill. This is our 360 News.